viewers, and welcome to our Friday edition of Gota Men's Issues. As you know, every time that on Fridays, that's when we have our guests, and we are always discussing different topics that have got to do with men. We in the previous sessions, we once discussed a topic on issues of mari adzikubalanza adzikukwana mudzimba. So, when we are by ourselves and we don't have experts in our midst, it's very difficult to actually be exhaustive on a certain topic. So we have brought the topic back once again, but today taiunza in a title with wealth creation. Mara is kukwana mumba, Ndoitawo sei semurume. So today we've got an expert here who's going to be giving us some tips on how to balance things when finances are not balancing. So we've got an expert who is going to be teaching us on wealth creation here. Tips say mumba. His name is Dr. Henry Jaji. He's an economist. He has got a PhD in economics from Swinburne University in Melbourne, Australia. And on his PhD, he studied a topic here China's aid engagement in the South-South cooperation. The topic yavaka discuss some of the terms are economic, maybe but in the meantime, I just want to give you this time, Dr. Jaji, just greet the viewers as we start our program.
Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, viewers. I hope we'll have an interesting conversation here. Myra is kukwana. What can we do to make sure that we create wealth, not just wealth for ourselves, but also generational wealth? As men, it's all about leaving a legacy. You cannot leave a legacy empty. In economics, there is a term we call living bequeath, whereby you leave something for your kids. So the whole essence of creating wealth is to live bequeath in economic terms. Thank you so much. I don't want to get into the nitty-gritties of the discussion. I just wanted to say hi to all the viewers.
Thank you, Doctor. Matobata katatutanga kudzidza so ndatobata kuti kune chinhu chinonzi living bequeath. Amene kuti ndaitaura zvakanaka here, but thank you so much, and we feel very comfortable. We welcome you. A platform yokuti you use the language yamakasununguka nayo. Mukanzoda kushandisa Ndebele, tinonzwa futi. Mukanzoda kushandisa Shona, tinonzwa futi. Mukanzoda kushandisa Japanese, tinoinzwa zvakare because tinonzwa kuti makambopfuura nepaJapan. So when it comes to the issue ye wealth creation, when it comes to the issue ye mari mumba, how can a person have control over their finances? I think I'm asking that question because I believe it's very important. Because ndakambona mwana kuti anotambira mari dzakawanda but aikwani, kwete vamwe kuti anotambira mari shoma but unyatsoona kuti munhu life yake iri kufamba zvakanaka. How can a person have control over their finances? If you can help us there.
Thank you so much. So the first issue with finances, especially in a family setup, is to do with transparency. As a couple, you need to be able to have a financial language that you both understand in terms of how much you are going to save, how much you are going to spend. Because when you come together as a couple, you have different appetites for spending. You will find many times that your appetite for spending is not the same. In some cases, the wife may have a higher appetite as compared to the husband. In some cases, it's the other way around. So there is need to strike a balance with regards to satisfying your appetite. When you realize that your partner probably has an uncontrollable appetite, it's your responsibility as the other partner to make sure that you come in and try to strike a balance on that. That is the first point. You need to be able to strike that balance. But another thing is, in most cases, like you were saying, but they do little with the money. But they tend to do more with their money. It's more to do with spending. a human being is a rational being. A rational being, munhu wekuti when you have an option to eat 3 bananas, you eat 3 bananas. Even uchiguta ne2, you will try to get to the next thing. So our appetite for spending haikwencheke easily. We tend to spend. So the moment you fail to control your spending, no matter how much you earn, marino to shorter. So we need to be able to be people who are not track our spending. Spending is the biggest issue that separates those two groups of people. It's not the income per se, because like you rightly said, munhu anenge achitambira mari shoma, but being able to do more. What it means is they don't spend much. So spending is the biggest problem. Sometimes we need to look at, do we really need what we are buying? I always talk to my wife, Kuti. Sometimes you get in a shop, uchita hako window shopping, you see a dress that you don't need. But dress racho rinoita as if it's communicating to you, like it's saying, you want to take, you want to take, you want to take, you want to take. So by the time you buy that dress, everyone who knows kuti ukapinda muwardrobe mamadam wako, unogona kuona dzimwe hembe dzavasati vapfeka, maybe akangodzipfeka musi wakaedza. That type of spending needs to be controlled. Same with us, we develop my habits anokonzeresa kuti spending yedu out of control. Things like sport betting, things like gambling. With sport betting, hatitomboona kuti taana addiction, because as men tiri vanhu vemasports, so unotongoazora kuti Chelsea urwa zvisingaiti, but you keep on betting on Chelsea because of the passion that you have for it. At the end of the day, when you look at how much you will have spent on that betting, it will be too much. So to cut it short, because I'm sure we'll come back again to this question, the whole issue that separates vanhu vanotambira mari dzakawanda kana vanotambira shoma, but being able to do more, is on how they monitor and control their spending. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. So you spoke about financial language here. But as a couple, you must have a financial language. What advice can you give a couple? The language is paskutoita ndi tsuro na gonzo when it comes to finances, kutomarana chete. Because financial language, I believe it takes maturity to then make a decision to start speaking the same language. But murume probably arikona kuti mukadzi wangu zvokutomachuwa zvatoramba, akangoita mari iyo window shopping, probably akangoenda online kana kuti angopinda mushop, autodzova akatobata something, as long as mari iripo anenge aida kuspenda. What advice can you give such a couple? Is it necessary to be always fighting about money, or sometimes kutongosiya munhu aita zvanoda wotadza kuzosiya bequeath yacho yevana vako iwe?
So thank you so much. In most cases, it's not about money. In most cases, it's failing to address my underlying issues. Let me give you an example of a couple iriku diaspora kuno. Sometimes Panama issues support families back home. If as a man you don't take control as to making sure that those people are supported in a sustainable way, at the end of the day, your wife you cannot stop someone from supporting, your people. But if you are not in control of it and making sure that it's done properly, they will end up doing it, and to some extent do it in a way that causes problems for you. So I think we need to make sure that we support, especially parents. They are supported adequately, they are supported sustainably. If possible, take the leading role as the husband to make sure that every month they are supported. So the moment you support your parents, for example, you will live here with no reason to try and take man away in a clandestine manner. You will have filled the gap, and from there, if she is happy, you can then say, this is what we have, how can we then invest, how can we then make sure that we keep what we have. But at the same time, ita kuti ugone solve my worries ake. Number one. Number two, vakadzi vane maneeds ari atisina kuti they want their heads done, they want their nails done. Normalize giving your woman some money. Chero yakaita shoma, but ngainge iripo yaambopiwa, she has the freedom to go and do what she needs to do. Izvozvo zvinoredusa like kana akave neappetite for spending anospenda within certain means. Unenge wamupa kueconomics tinoti constrained by a budget. You give a budget constraint, so she will demand as much as she wants, but there is always a constraint. Yeah, budget, a constraint of what she has or what she has access to. So that is number one. So language yemari inobvira pakuti kune maneeds atisingagoni kusubstitute anotofanira kuti asatisfyiwe. If we at least manage to satisfy those needs, we allow ourselves to then open room to make conversations and discussions to do other things. There is also a very controversial way of dealing with these issues where I know when we talk about it, most men will not agree, but it also starts from failing to deal with those underlying issues we are talking about. One way to manage your finances effectively is through having my joint accounts. Challenge inoitika kana musina majoint accounts ndeyekuti munofungidzirana kuti munhu ane mari asina. Mukadzi wako kana asina access to maaccounts ako anogona kufunza kuti une mari yausina. Anogona kutoti mumaakaunti make mune mari kana kuti mune maexpenditure ari kuitika asipo. So allow at least your main sources of income to be as transparent as possible. I know as men, we can still do other things to earn money. There you can have your liberty. Panika statement kantinoda kanoti in essentials, let's unite. But in non-essentials, let's have our liberty. In essential incomes, let's unite. But in the small incomes, we can have our liberty. But the main incomes, to avoid conflict, ngaanga ari transparent, ngaazikana. Kuti pamba panapa tine 6,000, tiri kubhadhara mortgage ye 3,000. Mukapererwa nemari iyoyo, mese muchiona kuti yapera, munogona kuisa musoro pamwe chete, mukaita devise other means to increase your income bracket. But mumwe munhu akafungidzira kuti kune imwe iri kune imwe homwe yandisiri kuona, zvinokonzeresa maproblems nekufungidzirana, mari yazodai, mari yake handisi kuiona. I talk to a number of people vanongotaura nyaya kuti mari yake handionoti inoenda kupi. Ukazotaurwa naye wacho ari kunzi mari yake handinoenda kupi, ungaona kuti mari yacho isiri kuonekwa kunzi iri kuenda kupi, haiko mari yacho. So love language starts from understanding. Love language inocultivatwa netransparency. Without transparency, there can't be a financial love language, to put it maybe in good terms. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Yeah, anofunga pari kunzwika apo, maybe tikazviteedzera bequeath inogona kuzovapo yatinogona kusirawo vana vedu. Zvichara chingori tizokorudza varairi because tichidzidza akakudzidza akuperi. Anyway, you have spoken about vatori nayo mari yacho kuti what can they do to strike a balance and to have control over their finances. Looking at a situation in our country, in Zimbabwe, where someone pamwe anogona kutoshanda mwedzi wese, salary is kutouya. I think you understand how sad the situation in our country can be. Munaona kutoenda kubasa netsoka. Sometimes we ask ourselves kuti munhu ari kunovingei kubasa, yet at the end of the month nothing is coming. What financial advice can you give to someone who is actually in Zimbabwe right now?
I was in Zimbabwe muna December. There is something interesting that I noted when it comes to spending. In the first week, tanga tiri kuZimbabwe, taenda ma-OK, taenda muSpar buying my groceries until someone introduced us kuma tuck shop. There is, I understand, takamenda ku one tuck shop ku Warren Payo, whereby what we managed to buy kuma tuck shop kwacho with maybe $100, for example, was enough for us for that whole stay, and also kutozoendesera mamwe groceries kunana mai, because we were able to buy them in cartons. So in a country like Zimbabwe, where to buy matters. Mari inenge iri shoma, but unotoenda kumatuckshop uko wotenga zvinhu zvako in bulk, and try to make sure kuti wasave in that way. Another thing is my incomes kuZimbabwe mashoma. You cannot survive on one income. You need to try it by all means to explore multiple income streams. You need to look at side hustles, side businesses. Kune vanhu vanotoraramisa mhuri through kuchengeta huku dzavo, vanhu vanoraramisa mhuri. You need those small incomes that will supplement your main income. You can't just go to work and go back home. Ototi zvatoita because mari yacho haikwani, and my prices they go up every time. So you need to make sure kuti mese namadhamu mune tuma income streams tushoma twamunobatsirika natwo zvinobatsira izvozvo. When it comes to my investments, kana maakuita my investments, try to do investments in hard assets. You consider maybe kutovaka chaiko, it's a better investment. I was talking to a friend akaita my investments in South Africa at Zimba. That was in 2010. We had an argument then. Ndichimuti, you were better off actually buying your property in Zimbabwe than buying in South Africa. So I was having a catch up with him sometime last month or a few weeks ago. Ndichimuti, have you noted that whilst the value of your house in South Africa is increasing in rand terms, it has actually decreased in value in US dollar terms, but the same property in Zimbabwe is appreciated. So Zimbabwe is a good investment to a destination for my hard assets like real estate, and maybe other tangible assets, but mainly real estate. If you can build, if possible, it's a better investment than to try to hold cash, because we don't have a banking system anyway where you can save through the banking system. Everything else being equal, one would then be able to even save in stable currencies like your US dollar and all. But we know with changes in policies, it's also a bit difficult to do that. So at the minimum, I think real estate is the best way to save in an environment like in Zimbabwe. Imwe yacho is to focus on essential spending and avoid luxury items. We have a problem as Zimbabweans where we think a measure of wealth is luxury items. No, it's not. You can live comfortably and outside a luxury, because the problem with luxury items is that they stretch your finances further, especially in an inflationary environment. So try to focus mainly on essential spending. Another point that we may look at is to try to network and educate yourself. You need to stay informed about economic changes in the country. My policies in Zimbabwe, they fluctuate so much. So you need to stay abreast with changes in policies, because if you don't, you may lose your investments as policies change. So you need to be very much informed about any changes that may be happening. Then try also to look for financial advice. You will have other friends who are in stable economies, even especially those who are in the diaspora. They can also assist you with if you have a trusted brother, they can try to help you with investments in their countries. But the main thing is making sure that you control your spending, making sure that you invest in hard assets, and making sure that you stay informed on the changes that are happening from a police perspective.
All right, thank you so much. So mataura nyaya yekuti where to buy matters. Yeah, that's very important. But kana ndiritoriwewo kuti salary yangu ndinotongokwanisa kuenda kwachigova nyika chaiko, kwandinonotenga matemba akamezhwa necooking oil iri mukapepa nenzondora ine zvigunwe 4 chimwe chatobviswa because haikwane mari yacho. What can I do? Because nditokwanisa kuti ndingaenda kumabulk. And then mataura nyaya yematuck shop, I just found something interesting that was written by Nick Mangwana. He said 30% of the groceries anotengeswa kumatuck shop anenge ari underweight. I don't know, was he trying to discourage vanotenga kumatuck shop here kana kuti is it true? But anyway, my point yanga re munhu zvake anotenga kwachigova nyika. I mean, it will be very difficult for me to end up kumatuck shop kunotenga in bulk kana motikari chanditori.
I don't think anenge ari underweight, because I noticed kuti matraki eDelta, for example, anotoenda pamatuck shop achito offload. So you would find kuti Delta haichatoendi kumashops, inoenda kumatuck shop. And if you have noted, whilst the economy is struggling, but when you look at the numbers, Delta, for example, they're actually doing well, because they have found a way to push my volumes through those tuck shops. So I wanted to disagree, or maybe to push back. Kuna corporate Mangwana on that one. There is a lot of economics that is happening, a lot of money that is circulating kuma tuck shop, and real business, legitimate businesses are finding a ready market kuma tuck shop. You would find Delta offloading trucks are what else, guys. If you spend an hour kuma tuck shop, you are more likely to see 3-4 trucks the Delta that we also see my drinks kuma tuck shop. Yeah, but back to your question of someone who is really struggling. It goes back to the point Yandambotaura, but you need to look at multiple income streams. Ndichidzokera kuma-tuck shop because there are guys who are not drivers zvingoro kuma-tuck shop. I was just observing, because when you are buying, you can't go there and come back in 30 minutes. You take time, because you'll be moving from one tuck shop to another. So these guys running wine zvingoro, I noted that he can make up to $5 or so in nemunhu one, because anenge achimutakurira from one tuck shop to the other akatoisa chingoro. So I was looking at them and I was saying, but these guys, in as much as basa ravo rakaoma, but they are making probably more than munhu ari kumukira ku-office. So we need, as Zimbabweans, to understand kuti what you do does not matter, because mara haive ine zita rakuti akaipushira ngoro, akaipushira chi. Isusu, a good example, when I was doing my PhD, which I still do now, you go to disability and work, but you are a PhD, you are a doctor. When you look at it, there are advantages there, not necessarily as a side hustle. You don't go kubasa kwako waenda, but mangwana unotomukira waenda ku disability, you do what needs to be done there, because you still make money and it pays your bills. When you are paying your bills, haizoti kana yama account mangu yonzi ndo yekumain job, iyi ndo yeku-disability, iyi ndo yandakadriva Uber, iyi ndo yandakanoita zvakati, it's just money in my account. So we need kubvisa a mentality yatinayo kuti kana ndiri teacher ndofana kuramba ndiri teacher, ndotambira $100 nokuti ndiri teacher, I can't do anything else because ndakaenda kuchikoro kunoita teacher. We need to understand kuti kana mari yama-account hainyorwe kunzi yabva kupi. Let's try to explore every opportunity, even the meanest job you can think of, it can still pay your bills. So ngatirege kuzvikanya. I have savira wangu anogara achindinetsa kuti hanzi nditumirewo mari, but every time paanoti nditumirewo mari anenge andifonera nevideo call. So I was asking him, but uri kuti hauna mari but yedhata unayo. So we prioritize zvinhu zvisina basa. Saka muri kuti aruda unotenga nzondora kwachigova nyika, anogona anga achitori $20, but aazoisa data ipapo akaisa zvimwe, but with $20 iyoyo aidzoka nemakatoni kumatuck shop kana achataura akatoraramisa mhuri. So on the little that we have, we also need to prioritize zvinhu zvine basa. Number one. Number two, try by all means to expand your income base. Don't be choosy panyaya yemainga. Mabasa acho hakuna kuZimbabwe. So haugoni kuti inini ndiri ticha ndichaticha zvikoro zvitatu. You cannot do that. You still need to go to the meanest of jobs and do that. If it means kuti muchatengesa mazai, tengesai mazai. Haizonyorwa mari yacho yabhadhara school fees yemwana kuti yakawanika kumazai, inenge ingori mari. So yeah, that's my advice there. We need to make sure that to increase my income streams.
Thank you so much. Yeah, pamuri kutaura nyaya yekuincrease my income streams, I remember mataura nyaya yezvingoro when I was growing up. Baba vangu vakanga vaine vaitoone basa ravo rakanaka chaizvo, but and basa ravo futi vaikwanisa kugadzira zvinhu zvakaita sezvingoro and so forth. So vaitoonazvo pamachipisa papa. Havana dhera vakambopusha chingoro. I remember vanhu vaitohaya $5 a day or something. Saka une zvingoro, that was $0, then not dzamazuva mazige enyaya. But we never lacked kumba because of that. He never pushed chingoro even a single day. Vakangozvigadzira vanozvisa pamachipisa paya and vanhu vaitongohaya every day. Manampa anodzosa chingoro manheru achiunza kamari kake kekuhaya kaika. So yeah, you are speaking sense there. Hanzi ngatisagarire maoko uye ngatisafarira kuenda kwachigova nyika kusi kuseva kuya isaine kutoti hatina kurongeka. Handisi ndadaro ndieconomist vari pano.
Pamuri kutaura yezvingoro, you actually remind me. I know of a guy kuHarare kumatakshop ikoko, matakshop ari kudowntown. Anotoisa zvingoro mutraki so achizvihaisa per-hour. So these guys vanouya kuzotora zvingoro zvake kwaari. Iye anongopaka zvingoro zvake paya obva atogara akutoita zvimwe vanenge vachiuya after an hour vari kumupa maybe handizoti mari, but he is making money nekungohaisa zvingoro.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's that really makes sense. Let's try. We know the economy yakaoma, but yeah, you can make it. Usangoshingirira pabasa kuti ndofana kuenda ikoko ndozodai hanzi. Let's find other multiple income streams. Kana muri mapurisa ikona exoti multiple income stream kudzidzisa vanhu tutaura zvekutonyatsoshanda iwewe nemaoko ako. Anyway, you have given advice to someone who is in Zimbabwe. What advice can you give, financial advice you can give to someone who is in the diaspora? I mean the diaspora, marifuta kukwana. What advice can you give me? Yes, kubasa ndikutoenda ndikutotambira. And then anyway, nimbodzoka I wanted to emphasize my point yamataura pa multiple income streams. You mentioned the issue kuti na mai ngavaende kubasa. Kuna vamwe varume vane mahabits ekuti mudzimai afana kushanda, ngavasaende kubasa and everything. Itai kuti madzimai enyu aende kumabasa vashande kana vaine zvavanokwanisa, so that they can add my income streams as well mudzimba imomo. Vamwe madzimai vatori nemaoko ekubata mari, but mukavavharira manje kuti auende kubasa, it doesn't work. Mune muchizvikuwadza imimi. Right. I asked a question, what financial advice can you give someone who is in the diaspora? Arikuenda kubasa and the fortnight ichipera kana mwedzi uchipera mari iri kutouya, but zvinhu hazvisi kubalansa. What advice can you give to that person?
So our biggest challenge with diaspora is black tax. By black tax, how much we need to remit home to deal with my issues at Rugumba. So you would find that if you are not careful, you end up sending more than you are supposed to be sending. So the first point is you need to remit strategically. I'm not saying limit spending is essential, but make sure that it's done in a strategic way. Another way to deal with the remittance is to invest back home. Ndoitawo projects kumba sustain vanhu vari kumba, so that you don't need to keep on sending money back home. Make sure that you have a few projects kumba ikoko ari kuranwa professionally, because we have an advantage kunoku yekuti tine capital yake yekustarta projects are sustainable back home. So try to have my projects are sustainable, so that you only send money if need be, but many times they are able to sustain themselves back home there. So please, it should be a prerequisite for Monachine family kumba to also try and invest back home, so that vanhu vari kumba vave self-sustainable. So our investments anofana kunge ari diversified here and also back home. Another problem we have kuno kwacho ndeyekuti chase my investments are really sustainable. I've seen a lot of my colleagues here who chase maproperties to an extent yekuti vanopedzisira vazviita intango in payments avasingagoni kuita. So you end up vanhu vangova kumashifts because maybe they've invested in too many properties at the same time, or maybe when they are getting into the property market, they are not understanding the market properly. There are times whereby people rush to get into a market, into the property market. Vopedzesera vatora mortgage iri expensive, isingabhadharike, because maybe one, you didn't have enough deposit for it, or maybe two, wanga usina a good credit score to secure a good mortgage. So before you go into the property market, number one, you need to make sure that you have saved enough in terms of your deposit. Number two, you need to make sure that your credit score is correct. Don't just go into the market for the sake of going into the market. Kana kuri kuno ku Australia, you can give yourself time. You can go deposit land, your teacher title maybe in 2 years' time, have time to then build your deposit whilst you're waiting for the land to title. Whilst you are building your deposit, also make sure that you are working on your credit score. The advantage of land title in many cases, appreciate a value, which then adds on into your deposit. So that way you have a leeway yekuti unotora a mortgage iri cheaper, and it does not affect your savings. So in most cases, munhu anonotora an expensive mortgage. Vatora an expensive mortgage, they are under pressure to go and get themselves in the next investment property, really expensive food. So you'd find that maybe my payments, even because it rent out the other property, because the repayments are just high, my rentals are no one with that property, they are not enough to cover their mortgage. They end up vari kubhadhara futi imba yavari kutorentesa. So getting into the property wealth is a noble idea. You don't have to rush into it. You need to evaluate your situation very well. You need to make sure that you have the best deal. And another thing, even if you have a bad deal, I wanted to also advise people that you have an option to renegotiate your mortgage with another bank, especially kana wanga kambokwireta smaller banks. You can still go to my bigger banks later when your credit score gets better, or when your financial situation gets better. You can still go to bigger banks. If it's in Australia, Anacom Bank, ANZ, you can still approach them later and try to renegotiate your mortgage, and maybe try to renegotiate your repayments. So that is one advice that I can give to Monargo diaspora. Another thing, just like Monargo Zimbabwe, is to stay informed, understand my issues. My issues of maybe even buying your house using your superannuation. You need to understand even the issues with superannuation. You need to know how it's performing. You need to be on top of the situation with your super, because if you don't track it properly, you may realize after some time good much that you have saved for your retirement. So stay informed, understand how are others doing it. Uh, Understand kuti vamwe vari kuita ma-investments api. There are also businesses that you can do in the diaspora. But with regards to businesses, usaite gundamusaira wekungoti zvikanzi kuri kuitwa disability womhanyawo kudisability. Kana usina business is more on passion, business is more on commitment. It's not just an issue yekuti ndakutongoita business. You would find kuti after 6 months in that business, you have lost a lot and you will not have gained anything. You end up going out again, and malosses are not going care. So look at the different options that are there and see one that suits you. Don't just get into business because nanga akuitawo business or akunoitawo business. There are many business opportunities that you can do mu diaspora. It's not only disability. I've seen, because there is a big Ningrikini Sage with the Zimbabweans, where everyone wants to get into disability. It's good. Some are making it, but it's not for everyone. look for other options. You can do my trucks there. They make a lot of money as a business. Just an example. You can do other things. So try to also look for other income streams, but don't copy. Look at your own situation, look at what you are passionate about, look at what you have expertise on, and do that. Look also at your income, if you are able to use that as capital to start a business. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. You mentioned issue ita invest back home. I know you've mentioned so many points. You mentioned here which remit strategically, which is very important. I think it's very important to announce the most people back home actually think kuti diaspora muka mariri papilo or something. They don't understand kuti people really work hard here and people actually lack here. So if you don't control how you give them money, they will think it's always there. But I wanted to speak about investing back home. As one person, I can go invest all back home and things didn't go well. I wanted to ask. We have got policies. For me, I was affected. NEMA policies actually not good. Business was not doing well. Business was perfect, fantastic at that point in time. But policies just turned things around just like that. How can you control the? How can you be on top of the policy changes when you are here and you're investing back home? Unless if you are saying kuti no urikuitira mwe katakshop kake you are unene kuzvirana as long as what ndakupa mari waita zvinhu chako handisine newe. But kana kuri kuti I'm investing something that I should run, how best can I be on top of our changing policies? Tomorrow you wake up zig ndora akutenga, and then tomorrow you wake up bond raenda, you wake up again bond radzoka, you wake up again chabvumidzo kutengeswa nema US dollars and so forth. How can if you meant kuti munhu unofana kuita business raunorana from here iro riri kuZimbabwe, how best can you be on top of these policies that are changing every day? It's a hustling economy. How can you hustle when you are far away from home?
Yeah, so when you are far away from home, it's difficult to run a business in order day-to-day supervision your business, right? The advice is the same as the advice I was giving to someone who is in Zimbabwe of investing in hard assets. When I was in Zimbabwe, I was looking at a very interesting sector, which is students' accommodation. It's a very there is a crisis of accommodation for my students, and if one in the diaspora with capital can invest in students' accommodation, maybe you may avoid Harare for the obvious reasons that it will be difficult maybe to get land in Mount Pleasant if you want to service use it, for example, or maybe in Hatfield if you want to target Catholic University, or maybe Belvedere for heat and Harare Poly. But if you look at other cities like Chinoy, for example, you can get land cheaply. You can get land cheaply in Gweru for Midland State University. You can get land cheaply in Mashingo for Mashingo State University, or in Mutare for Africa University or Mutare Poly. Those are areas that are critical need of assistance, where you can provide a solution and also have income. I was looking at how they do it. Just an example, one can have a 5 or 6 bedroomed house in Chinoy, for example. One is Mabangi beds. These kids they are paying as much as $150 per bed. So you have in a room we have a bangy bed with 4. I know it's it may sound inhuman, but I'm just speaking of on what is happening. That's the reality on the ground. But nobody has got $150 per bed, and they go for it because I have an alternative accommodation. So if one is able to invest, I mean, I don't think there is any other investment where you can easily get for 500, 600 in a room. If it's 5 or 6 bedroom, depending on the house that you'll have built. Or if you want to be fair, you can just have two students in a room. It's still enough to have $300 per room. And in most cases, because of the shortages of accommodation, they, even when they go on holiday, they still pay in order to secure their accommodation. So those who are in that business, they are making a lot of money, and you are able to sustain your expenses back home, and at the same time you will have helped to solve a problem that is there in students' accommodation. So it's one example that just comes to mind. But investing in hard assets applies not only to people who are in Zimbabwe, but even to people who are in the diaspora who are investing back home. It helps to deal away with policy changes, because policy changes, there isn't much that you can do to stop policy changes. Is the weakness of the authorities. They tend to change a lot, maybe in a way to deal with the economic challenges that we have. But at the same time, you as an investor, you need to be able to invest in a sector where those issues cannot affect you. So hard assets are a way to go.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's understandable zviri kunzwika. Yes, and then tomboti ndatry kuinvesta and then ndobva
So
ndanyura.
imwe yacho handisati ndaenda, handisati ndataura. There is another area that is in high demand. One area yacho is for machinery agriculture. We have a lot of farmers, mvura inosvika kutonaya vasina kugona kurima because havana matractor. I was looking at it, vanohaisa matractor, they go for $600 per hectare or something ridiculous that they charge. So people in the diaspora, they can look into that and try to make sure that they can manage. If you can send 2-3 tractors back home, you have someone who can trust to run around those errands. You will not need to be constantly sending vanhu mari kumba. There is also a lot of mining that is happening. Vanoda mining machinery, compressor, and all those things. When you talk to another mining, I know that compressor. If you have someone you trust, you can still send those machinery. So hard assets are a way to go. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hard assets, and yeah, it makes real good sense. Or for someone who is in the diaspora, as much as you may need a lot of capital for hard assets, my advice, if you have bought a piece of land and you intend to build, kana kuri kuti mari yako inounganidzika, I would advise you kuti mari ngaiungane pamwe chetepo, and then wozomboita zvekuenda watounganidza zvinhu zvako zvese and then unovaka uri paground because vakomana vanogona kunyudza. But anyway, I wanted to ask a question yekuti for someone who has encountered a financial loss, be it in the diaspora or in Zimbabwe, waita project, the project has gone south, things are not okay, zvinhu zvakakuomera, what advice can you give to such a person? I've encountered financial loss, zvinhu zvakatondipresa, I had tried kutenga, maybe I can give you an example of someone who once bought machinery like that, equipment, earth moving equipment, and then it was hired by a politician. The politician hired it for several months, and then after that, they gave it to him back. Nothing, they didn't pay him back any cent. We've encountered a financial loss. What advice can you give to that man or to that couple? Because babazama kupinda home business or encounter financial loss. Mangwana kana ukazida kumenshena kuti ndauda kupinda business, amai vanogara vakuisa mabreak kuti hai hakuna business ramuri kuita. What advice can you give to such a person?
Yeah, so when you encounter financial loss, the first point is to try to assess the situation. Try to assess the situation. I understand the extent of your loss. To look at whether it's due to economic instability, is it as a result of business downturn, is it as a result of your lack of expertise, or maybe a poor strategy for business. Right, first things first, assess the situation. Number two, try to create a recovery plan. Try to address the immediate needs, and maybe try to gradually recover from your financial loss. Because the biggest challenge that most people do when they encounter financial loss is to try and recover quickly. In most cases, you find yourself in a deeper hole than you were in. So try to recover gradually. When you realize that, after assessing the situation, you realize that what caused the loss, and when you are trying to recover from it, try to do it gradually. The third point is with regards to cutting unnecessary expenses. You also try to reduce non-essential spending so that you free up resources for recovery. Maybe focusing on maintaining basic living standards. I know kana watombotanga business unenge watopakakwirira kakuti uchidzoka, it's difficult, but it's important. Then you also need to seek support. Financial loss in a challenge yekuti inoto affect your mental health. If you are not dealing with it properly, it affects marriages, especially kuno kudiaspora. Unenge watora mari yemumba isiri yemuriwo, unenge watora mari yakakosha wakonvinza madhamu kuti hande tinoinvesta kumba, and then moita loss. Unenge watopa tight wakunzi madecisions enyu vanava hatimatrust. So if you're not careful, zvinokustrain. So you also need to look into it, make sure kuti matsanangurirana pauri kuita assess the situation. Try to also include your partner muma issues acho if you were both involved in those investments, because if you fail to do that, mukazoda kuzotrya another project, hamunzwanani. Unenge wakutonzwa mari wakambotinyudza paipa iwewe madecisions ako hatingamatrust. Then try to stay positive about it. Business, or it's a hit or a miss. It's not always that it succeeds because you are not in control of everything. There are also external factors that now affect success here, your business, that are beyond your own control. So stay positive. Unoona kuti we have failed today, but it doesn't mean that we're going to fold our hands and not try again. Keep on trying, but where you will have made mistakes or where the failure of your investment was due to your own shortcomings, try to address those shortcomings, and also give yourself time before you engage in the next project. Don't just say zvaramba ndakutongomuka mangwana ndakutoita zvimwe, haunotozopera chaiko chaiko utoona hapasina. So give yourself time, and if it was lack of research, try to research more before you get into another. But the bottom line is, when you are trying something, there is a possibility that it will fail, and always allow for that possibility of failure. It should not stop you from trying, because the moment you stop trying, watopera zvatopera, unenge wakudzokera paya pataramba pekuda kurarama nesalary, and you can't do much. Thank you so much.
Thank you mazvinzwa. Hanzi kana tadona, let's assess the situation. Chambotidonedza chii? Is it lack of planning here, policy changes here, what really happened, and also involve your partner. Don't mudone mese. Don't force her into it, but sell the idea. Thank you so much for that one. We've got some challenges, probably, especially in the diaspora. Can a couple enjoy marriage when the woman is earning more than the husband? I deliberately left this question a little bit vague, because I don't want to say who causes problems when they earn more or who causes problems when they earn less. Can a couple enjoy marriage? We're facing a lot of challenges where couples, when the woman is earning more, it seems like either murume arikufila kuti ndikuvhairwa kana kuti mukadzi akutovhairwa sure. I don't know what's happening. Can a couple enjoy marriage when the woman is earning more than the husband?
Yes, a couple can, or no, it cannot. But I need to first address a fundamental issue that most Zimbabweans who are here in the diaspora are failing to deal with. Issue hombe iripo ndeyekuti patanga tiri kumba, when vana baba pavanga vari mabreadwinner, vanogona kunge vaine maissues avaiita with money, anga asiri kufadza madzimai avo, or maybe they were abusing them financially. But what happens pamunouya kudiaspora, I'll take, for example, a couple inouya maybe ne student visa, for instance. In most cases, madam ndo vanozoya kuno voita macourse anoita kuti vave marketable in the industry. And when that happens, it means kuti vanenge vaa marketable pavanopedza. So chances are she will earn more. Chances are she will have mabasa easier than the husband. And kana maa muchimbovabata rafu kumashure uko, in most cases inenge yanguva yerevenge. So tinosara taakuti couple haigoni kugarasikana zvakanaka when mukadzi ari kuena more, but nyaya haizi yekuti mukadzi ari kuena more, nyaya ndeyekuti pane maissues anga amboitika when the husband was earning more. So ndofunga kuti before that happens, you need to sit down moonesana, kana kuri kukumbirana ruregerero mokumbirana ruregerero. Shamari pai pandai kubata bho rafu pai unga uri kusaziya, but we need to move on. Masamba aita sei asiyana. Another issue inonetsa hayo ndeyekuti as men tine ego. Pamwe pacho patiri kuti ari kuvhaira anenge asina zvaanyanyoita, but because of your ego you feel kuti ari kuvhaira. Because of your ego you feel kuti akuteka your role as the head of the house, and that causes friction. So my answer to the question yekuti can a couple enjoy marriage when the woman is earning more than the husband, I think yes. But where it's not possible, my thinking is that it's not necessarily about money. But of course, we cannot totally rule out the issue yekuti madzimai edu kazhinji kacho they are not used to being in control or of my situations. Pamwe pacho unotonzwa munhu achitoti handingambochengeta munhu wemurume, and you will have vamwe madzimai anoti mari yake ndeyake iye, yemurume wake ndeyavo vese. So in a situation like that, then it becomes a problem, because anenge asina kutokupa rume yacho yekuti ugone kumupa the way yeku lead. So to deal with these issues, number one, there is need for open communication. You have to discuss financial issues openly and honestly to prevent misunderstandings. And number two, you need to respect and support each other. Number three, you need to come up with shared goals as a couple. Number four, I think you need to try to avoid ego clashes, and you can be issues yema egos. Number five, kana musiri vanhu vema-joint accounts, try kuita equitable contributions yema-expenses yenyu, share financial responsibilities fairly, based on your ability, and not just the income levels, but your ability to also meet those expenses, to make sure that everyone feels valued and respected. So I think those are the issues that I can talk about on this issue.
Thank you so much. Those are insightful issues. I'm not going to get back on them and dwell on them just because I'm looking at our time. This is very interesting here. I'm hoping we're going to have you back here because our show much. My last question is we have gone through COVID, we've gone through Russian war, we've gone through those things have caused inflation in so many other countries, not just Zimbabwe or Australia or the UK. How can one save money in an environment or in a high inflation environment? Just in brief, how can one save money in a high inflation environment?
So to save in an inflationary environment, number one, you need to invest in inflation protected assets. So you consider assets like your real estate, you consider assets like your gold, foreign currency accounts that can hedge against local inflation. This is an assumption that your inflation is local inflation and it's not imported inflation, like in the case of Zimbabwe, where our inflation sometimes is imported due to interest rate changes. Then you try to reduce cash holdings. So like keep minimum cash and instead invest in assets that appreciate and provide returns, such as maybe foreign stocks or maybe government bonds. I'm talking to someone who is in a stable economy and not necessarily in Zimbabwe, where you can't invest in bonds, in government bonds or treasury bills as an individual. Try to increase income, seek additional sources of income. We'll keep on hammering on this. You cannot survive on a single income. It's very difficult, whether you're in an inflationary environment or not. Try to look at multiple streams of income. Also, try to cut on non-essential spending. I think we touched on this one. Try to negotiate prices. Don't just buy things for the sake of buying, especially where you have room to negotiate. Kana pane vanomboenda kuchina vanoita zvokuhodha, ukasvika mumamaketi ekubeijing, suti yaunogona kuzotenga $3 inotangira ku$100. Anoti $100 wobva wamapopotedzana muchidzoka muchiuya pama8 muchipopotedzana kusvika wazoti $2 wozokandirwa suti yacho wobhadhara $2 wakuenda, but the initial price yange yakakotwa pasame suit yanga iri $100. So if you are someone with an ego which cannot negotiate, you are always buying things very expensive. Ndine mukwasha wangu so kuti wakaenda naye unogadzirisa mota unopedzisira wakutonyara achinegotiate achiite kuti tawani kuti you know, where even the prices are fixed, but he tries very much to negotiate. Even when but service $200 75, you know, that thing is very important in an inflationary environment to try to negotiate. Then the last one is try to plan ahead. Kunoku diaspora kune problem which I don't know, our banks do not look at, but in Zimbabwe, when I was still working in a bank, we used to look at that. Ukaona uri munhu anoenda shops every day, it's a sign yekuti hauna good financial management. You don't buy groceries every day. You should have a trend of buying groceries. Ekuti sakata accounts mako, maybe groceries anotengwa musi weSaturday chete. You can plan for a week. Ukaona wachiti every day uri kunotenga nyama, every day unotenga muriwo, every day, it's a sign yekuratidza kuti you cannot manage mari. Vanhu vanogona kumaneja mari havaspend every day, vanotospenda vachiseveredza, they plan for their things. So being able to plan is a sign yekuratidza kuti uri kuziva zvauri kuita. It's a sign good and sound financial management. And this is they tend not to look at it very much, but I know Zimbabwe, when we are borrowing, we also look at that. Kuti nai munombotenga sei, and all those things. If you are someone arongoti every day buridza kamari yako watenga sadza, that is no problem. Dzatadza kuva nelunch box kumba and save. So thank you so much. I think I've answered that question.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yeah, well answered. Thank you so much for joining us in the program today. I'm hoping we're going to have you back again. Times amanya, but muridene reruzivo in the area of economics. Chatoti kana vamshaya vanhu vabuda pakuta reserve bank governor tokumbokupayo posakanza kuti akambopiwa wekwamutare ezvinoya newekwagutu takumbodawo wekumount darwen makorekore vamborana kubuda sei. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining in today. Ladies and gentlemen, this was our program today. Please make sure you share and let other people know this is an insightful program. We need as many people as possible to come and experience what has been said here. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful day, depending on where you are. Let's meet again on Monday. Thank you so much. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.